Hi, I'm Melissa Cobb. Come fly with AOPA. This week we take you back in time to the barnstorming days for some pumpkin dropping fun.
The Old Rhinebeck Aerodrome is a living museum in New York with airworthy vintage airplanes that perform in their air shows every weekend throughout the summer and fall. The last few air shows of the year celebrate the fall season with the beautiful Hudson Valley fall foliage as a backdrop. This weekend featured the 1929 New Standard D-25, 1931 Reproduction Great Lakes Trainer, 1934 de Havilland Tiger Moth, 1942 Fleet Finch 16B, and a 1943 Boeing Stearman. During the air show, pumpkins are thrown from the biplanes with a satisfying smash on the runway. The pumpkin smashing fun is accentuated by a ground show act with vintage cars and ground explosions.
Diving on down, here we go! Four bombardiers in the front cockpit.
Michelle Walker, AOPA pilot.
Well, that looked like a lot of fun. Pumpkins away. Well, Michelle, you used to work at the Old Rhinebeck Aerodrome, and I understand this is one of the most anticipated events of the year for them?
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Every year during the fall season, we celebrate fall by doing fall foliage biplane rides and throwing the pumpkins out of the airplanes during the air shows.
Cool. Now, if pilots want to fly in just for a visit or to take in an air show, or if they want to go next year for the pumpkin smashing event, how would they go about doing that?
So flying in is by permission only, so you just have to call the main office and talk to the chief pilot about that. And if you don't end up flying in, there is another airport nearby, and you can just take the taxi to the aerodrome. But if you do end up flying in, just brush up on your soft field and short field takeoffs, because there's trees at either end, and the runway's pretty short.
Okay, great advice for practicing up then. All right, well, so just recently you got to fly with the new AOPA Pilot Bingo Challenge Sweepstakes in the AOPA app. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. We were making a couple stops along the way, so it was a fun way to just document where we were stopping and play the new bingo challenge.
All right, let's take a look.
So we're here today at Skylark Air Park, and we're going to be doing a little cross-country flight down to Frederick, Maryland, and making a few stops along the way. So while we go, we're going to play the new AOPA Pilot Passport Bingo Challenge.
Just got to do a quick pre-flight, and then we'll get going.
So we're going to do our first check-in of the Pilot Passport here at Skylark. After our first check-in, we'll get a random virtual ball, and if there's a corresponding letter number match, that'll show up on our virtual bingo card as well. So we're here at Sky Acres Airport in Millbrook, New York, and we're going to do another check-in on the Pilot Passport Bingo Challenge. What'd you get? L32.
All right, so now we are at Deck Airport in Myerstown, Pennsylvania. This is our last stop on our trip today.
Yeah, we just filled up on fuel, so we're ready to go all the rest of the way back to Frederick.
First thing, we're just going to check in on our pilot passport and play the bingo challenge. Nice. I-21, and you got a few new badges.
Nice.
So we're back here at the AOPA ramp in Frederick, Maryland, and we're going to do our last check-in at the pilot passport. The challenge will go until December 31st, so if you'd like to play along, you can get 1 entry in the challenge for every 5 balls drawn, up to a maximum of 20 balls and 4 entries. AOPA will be awarding 3 prizes, so if you'd like to learn more about that and the official rules of the challenge, that link will be in the description box below.
Well, the great thing is you can have fun while flying and playing bingo, but at the same time get entered for chances to win some pretty cool aviation prizes. And we'll have all the details at a link down below in our description. Well, while you're out flying, make sure to keep up your scan for other traffic. Midair collisions are rare, but they do happen, and we had a rash of them back to back this summer. First, we had it in North Las Vegas Airport in Nevada in July, then Watsonville, California in August, and finally Boulder, Colorado in September. So what we're doing at AOPA is we're doing a big focus on collision avoidance for the whole month of November. And our very own AOPA Air Safety Institute Senior Vice President Richard McSpadden kicks it off with a refresher on our VFR scan.
And as far as scan techniques go, the first is it's a good idea to keep your windshield clean, because any kind of traffic is going to be smaller than a bug smear initially if you're trying to find it. What's good to do is in whatever airplane you're flying, try to reference yourself with clock positions and things that are fixed on your canopy. So for me in this Super Cub, these V-bars up here are really good reference to use in terms of where traffic is. And over time, if you just get used to referencing the clock position, then the position relative to the horizon. Most of us have a tendency to look too aggressively up or down for traffic when it's not at our altitude, when in reality, it'll be within about 3 fingers of you. Most traffic that's going to be a factor to you is within those 3 fingers of distance when they're out at about the 5-mile point. As they get closer in, you'll need to increase your scan a little bit, but if you start within 3 fingers of the horizon, that's the traffic that's going to be a big conflict to you. And then you just establish yourself a dedicated scan, and it really doesn't have to be that intense to do it. It will for a while, but after you do it a little bit, you'll notice, first of all, your eyes tend to focus in close. The natural focus of your eyes is somewhere around, I think it's around 18 inches or something like that. It's pretty close. So to get your eyes to focus on where distant traffic might be, and you're going to need some good acuity to see the traffic and how small it's going to appear, focus on something way out in the distance, and then look up and start a scan. About a 3 to 5 second scan, maybe back and forth. And then focus your eyes again, and then transition the next piece of your windshield. Then focus your eyes again, and scan the next piece of your windshield, again starting within that 3-finger scan. And if you're just working yourself away across your windshield like this, all the way out to your left 9 position, your wing positions, the back of your wing, again focusing your eyes way on the hills and the horizon, then scan, Focusing your eyes way on the clouds in the horizon, and now a scan, 3 to 5 second scan. If you do that over and over, after a while, that'll just become the way that you're sightseeing as you travel across the country. You'll find it isn't just like anything else in flying. It'll no longer take a lot of effort. It just becomes a habit in the way that you look outside the airplane.
All right, thanks, Richard. Those are all good tips that we should make habits when we're flying in the air. One of the pillars that AOPA was founded on was aviation advocacy, and our government affairs team works tirelessly so that we can enjoy flying, going to see family, going back in time to enjoy a pumpkin drop, or taking part in a fun pilot challenge or proficiency flight. And so this week, our very own AOPA Senior Vice President of Government Affairs, Jim Kuhn, testified at an Environmental Protection Agency hearing to help protect GA. Now, during this hearing, he said that the transition to an unleaded GA fuel must be done in a way that promotes and protects safety. So this hearing was held to gather public comment before the EPA makes its final finding in 2023. Now that finding is likely going to require the FAA to develop a plan to remove leaded aviation gasoline no later than 2030. During that hearing, Jim made 3 critical points. First, the GA industry firmly supports a safe transition to an unleaded fuel. Second, any transition must be done safely and smartly. And third, he stressed that real progress with unleaded fuel is already underway. So recently, the FAA approved the first 100-octane unleaded fuel by General Aviation Modifications, Inc. Now, Swift Fuels is also working on a 100 unleaded fuel, and they hope to get FAA approval in 2023. You can learn more about this important topic at the link in our description. It'll take you right to our AOPA.org website. Well, I hope you've enjoyed Fly with AOPA this week. Be sure to like and subscribe so you can stay up to date on all the latest pilot stories, safety tips, and aviation news. This week, we're going to leave you with some beautiful footage from our very own Michelle Walker during her flight in New England at peak fall foliage. I hope you enjoy the colors. Now, if you would also please send in your flying videos. You might just see them on an upcoming show. We'll have that link for you in the description. And as always, if you're not already an AOPA pilot, we'd love to have you join us. You can do that at the end of this video.